Welcome to the Claws Out podcast, West Tigers TV. This is our preview show for the West Tigers clash against the Broncos, coming to you across the road, actually, at Campbelltown Stadium this Saturday night at 7:30. I'm flanked by a couple of my regulars, Rob and Gary. Daniel, the most important member of our team, is behind the camera. He's done a magnificent job setting us up at the Sherwood MacArthur, Rob. What a magnificent setup here today.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing, Eddie. It's great to be here. Daniel, thanks again for the work you've done to set this up. I was lucky enough to be here for the ambush event on Sunday, which was a magnificent event. We've got another ambush event coming up this week, which Gary will say a little bit more about. But look, the game sold out, so if you can't get to the game, make sure you get to one of the clubs around here, either the Sherwood or Wests Campbelltown, 50 metres away from us.
And Gary, great timing, having a show here with 2 games in 6 days in the MacArthur region. Obviously, fantastic victory on Sunday against Newcastle, 42-22, and we get Saturday night sold-out crowd at Campbelltown.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for the club, especially with the form we've started this season with, to get out to Campbelltown, re-engage with this area, and what a better place to come to promote the game this weekend than the Sherwood. It's a great venue, and we had a lot of fun here on the weekend.
I was going to say, if you can't get to the game on Saturday night at Campbelltown Stadium, this is a great place to come and watch. They've got the mega screen outside. We're sitting out in the courtyard with the big screen. They've got a big tab area. And come and support the West Tigers on Saturday night. I had a look at their website, which is thesherwood.com.au. They have poker nights on Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, trivia on Tuesday, $1,000 in meat tray giveaways on Friday, and Sizzling Sunday, which is $500 worth of tray giveaways. So, Rob, we mentioned Campbelltown Stadium. It's a real precinct out here. You've got the ground across the road, you've got Wests Campbelltown, and you've got the Sherwood. Penrith Panthers, I mean, we don't want to big them up too much, but over the last 10 years, they've got that real community feel and winning 3 comps in a row. We know Leichhardt Oval is out of action next year. Why can't we have that same feel around this area?
There's absolutely no reason why we can't have this feel around this area. We got that feel on Sunday. I think getting out here a couple of hours early and enjoying these sort of facilities really gives you a vibe. And by the time I got into the ground at Campbelltown, like, it was humming, ready to go. And you had to see the Sherwood post-game, Eddie. Like, we had to bolt to do the podcasts, but I saw some of the footage on Josh's phone. There was a Tigers chant going on in here. The players were signing, autographs for the kids and what have you. It's just a really good venue and a great way to soak up the atmosphere.
And Gary, we mentioned this Sherwood is part of the West Group MacArthur, and they look after, I believe, 5 pubs in the area.
Yeah, they own another number of pubs in there, but a big part of what they do, I do want to mention today, is their support for the junior leagues out here. It's getting close to rivaling that Penrith sort of system that they have for the juniors, and a lot of that can be passed back to West Group and their support of the rugby league out here. It's absolutely outstanding. That's why we're here today, is to pay back a little bit for what they're providing for our club and for the juniors in an area that's so important to the future of the West Tigers.
Leichhardt Oval, Rob, being redeveloped in 2027, so it'll be out of action. So Campbelltown could host as many as 8 games. The Claws Out team spoke to CEO Sean Millenkamp at the start of the year, and he was great when he was at Central Coast Mariners in building that sort of fortress, and that's what we've got to turn Campbelltown Stadium into.
Definitely. I think it even could be up to 9 games, Eddie, but given the fact that we want to play semi-finals, even this year, we can't make the finals if we're not winning games at Campbelltown. So that is what was wonderful about Sunday, having such a big crowd, seeing a sea of, black, white and orange jerseys and T-shirts and caps, and just a really good vibe. And there were so many families out here, Eddie. That really surprised me. Probably not as much as I'd see at Leichhardt, and I think that's fantastic. And when they see a performance like they got on Sunday with a 42-22 victory, and, they say, wow, I had a great time. I got to go to the Sherwood before the game. I got to see the players after the game and have an autograph, see a Tigers win. That's what gets people addicted to their team and their club and wanting to be a part of the West Tigers. So well done to everyone involved, and in particular the team for just keeping up this magnificent, run we're going on. 3 in a row wins now, hopefully 4 on Saturday night.
And they've spoken about that curse that we've kind of had at Campbelltown. And what a way to break it with that game on the weekend and that performance on the weekend. That was a performance that this area and all West Tigers supporters can be extremely proud of.
We mentioned Penrith before, Rob. They got their pathways right. They built a big academy out there. Are West Tigers doing enough in this area? I know they have an office out here at Macarthur, but are they doing enough in the area?
We certainly left it a long time to get involved in this area. I think we really tried to put a footprint in here last year. That was a big plan of Richo's, and I know it's a big plan of Sean Mellencamp, who's continued on that good work. I really can't say as to how much they're doing. I know they're getting involved with schools, and a lot of players come out here, but look, we're blessed. You can look at having 2 home grounds. I know we've got Combank as well, but we've got 2 major home grounds. We can look at it as a disadvantage if we want to and be the glass half empty sort of people, but we're blessed to have supporter bases that come right the way from Macarthur all the way to the inner city. So I just think it's about time we all just, put everything aside, and there's no difference between going to Campbelltown and Leichhardt. Yeah, the acoustics can be different, and I think we can be a little bit more feral at Leichhardt. No offence, Leichhardt, I love you, and I'm one of the most feral people that supports the team. But
anywhere, Rob, anywhere,
pretty much anywhere. Yeah, I don't think the people like me when they sit near me during a game, but. Look, just support your team. Get out to wherever we're playing. Combank was amazing, a week and a half ago against Parramatta. That was sold out. That was really good. So just get behind the West Tigers. And the best part about it is we've got a team to believe in this year. They've done all the hard work going back to last November. The foundations have been set for a good season. So as long as we can stay reasonably healthy, don't get affected, hopefully, too much by origin selections, and take advantage of this home run. We've got another 2 home games in a row. We can really put our footprint on this competition.
Any idea, Gary, what that new stadium will look like? I think Campbelltown's due for an upgrade in either season 2028 or 2029, but one of Richo's last things he did for the club was that commitment to get that upgrade, get that 40 or 60 million over the next 15 years where the club could potentially play the majority of their home games here.
Yeah, unlike Leichhardt Oval, there hasn't been any sort of announcement around what that redevelopment's going to entail. But I think the key part for me is increasing that capacity. Where it is now, it's like 16, 17,000 is not quite big enough for what we need. You see that we've sold out this weekend already. So getting that up 20,000, maybe a little bit more if we can, I think is really crucial to the long-term success of the club.
And Rob, we have, honestly, some of the most marketable players in the competition from the area. You got guys like Jerome and Tito and the May brothers, all sort of born and bred in Western Sydney. So everyone loves a winner. And if this community could really get behind the team, if we could finish in the top 4 or top 8 this year, that could really build that feel in the area.
I couldn't agree more, Eddie. And again, I think the key to that is having regular home games at Campbelltown. We need to keep this up. I know Leichhardt's getting redeveloped next year, but that's been one of my big bugbears over the last couple of decades, that sometimes Campbelltown don't get enough games. I think the last game that Campbelltown got last year was in June. So effectively, if you lived out this way, you couldn't see another game at Campbelltown, for another 3 months of the rest of the season, which I think is poor management. If I'm going to be a little bit critical, I know we had a cup game after the first grade game the other day. I would have liked to have seen that before that, but you know what? It actually worked out an advantage because there was no game there. Come to the Sherwood, come to the ambush event and have some fun there. So at least events like the ambush event are actually making it a more pleasant and enjoyable match day experience.
I haven't checked, Gary, this week whether there's a game before first grade, but first grade at 7:30. Should there always be a cup game on before? Because I know we're dinosaurs and we talked about it on our review show on Sunday, but just for the punters that get there early to see a game and get behind, whether it's reserve grade or Jersey flag or the women's game or whatever it is.
I like to see multiple games. The West Tigers Jersey flag played at Lidcombe Oval. I think I said that the other night on Saturday. I don't know why that wasn't here. I think especially with the amount of money you're paying to go to games nowadays, I think having a second game gives that better value for money. I think it's really crucial as a supporter base that it's a little bit more than just the NRL squad you get to see regularly.
And just one last plug, Gary, when is the ambush event this week? It's going to be here at the Sherwood, Macarthur again?
Yeah, we're at the Sherwood again on Saturday, starting here at 5:30, so get out here. We'll have Steve here, we'll have Kelly here from Hear Her Roar, we'll have Rachel here from Hear Her Roar as well. We'll have some guests from some other podcasts as well coming out. We're waiting on confirmation of who our guests will be from the West Tigers, but we'll have a guest from the club here speaking. So it's a fun event. We're releasing the video towards the end of the week of the ambush event from last weekend. Check that out. Have a look how much fun people are having at that. Come out and join us on Saturday. Lots of friendly people. if you don't know anyone, come and say hi to us. There's lots of people who go to games and they don't have anyone to go to a game with. That's kind of why the ambush was started. So if you're heading off to that game by yourself this weekend, come and say hi. None of us bite. Steve can be nice at times. He does make you pay for his autograph, but outside of that, he's pretty good.
I was going to say, Rob, Steve's usually in the corporate suites for the game, but I did see a rumour. I'm not sure if it's true that they're going to make people on the hill stand up on Saturday night, and that I don't know if that's to increase the capacity. But you had a little shot on Saturday night or Sunday night in our review show. There's no not many patrons in the audience at the moment, probably coming home from work, but you want to see a more rowdy atmosphere at Campbelltown. Is that fair?
I think I do want to see a rowdier atmosphere. I'm going to be standing in that area that you're talking about in the general admission come Saturday night. So, look, I'm looking forward to that. Look, I just think supporting the team, if I missed out on going to the game because it was sold out, that's a great thing, especially on a Tuesday. I can't believe we're sold out on a Tuesday. But, we are up against the defending premiers. And
where are we coming on the ladder, Rob? That's why it's sold out.
We're coming second on for and against, which is wonderful. Equal first, and hopefully Penrith drop a game before we play Saturday night.
All right, let's get on to what we are here to do, which is preview the West Tigers game against the Broncos. We'll get the West Tigers team on the screen. A couple of pleasant surprises at 4 o'clock this afternoon. The main man, the marquee signing, Jerome Luai, back in the 6. Taylor May, named in the centres to start at left centre. Jock Madden, he goes back to number 14 jersey. Latu Fainu in 18. Luke Lalili, back from suspension in the 19 jersey on that extended 6-man bench. And then 2021-22. Rob, any surprises in that lineup?
Not surprises, but what a wonderful effort Patrick Herbert showed us on Sunday. So I'm glad he's retained his spot given how he played. He's obviously up against a totally different opponent to De Courcy in the fact that he's got to mark Shibasaki. So that'll be a major test for him. But it's good to see Benji rewarding excellence. I think the big thing for me, besides Jerome Luai being back in the team, Eddie, Taylor May being back also accommodates Makasini to go back to the left wing. So effectively, from that starting back line this year that we wanted to have our best 1 to 7, Patrick Herbert is the only player that wouldn't have been in that 1 to 7. So almost full strength in that back line. Starfatoa still, twiddling his thumbs in New South Wales Cup. He's got to get up to fitness levels that the coach wants. But what a position we're in at the moment.
So my question for you, Rob, is after that performance from Patrick Herbert on the weekend, Toa is still in reserve grade, and you're speaking about we're one player short of what our best lineup is. Your opinion, do you still have Toa in front of Herbert after that performance on the weekend?
You'd have Herbert in front of Makasini on that performance from Sunday. That's how impressive it was. So, look, you've got to, pay him the respect and give him another go at right centre. Can he sustain that for the rest of the season or for a few more games? That's the big question. But again, given how well he played, it would have been foolish of Benji to drop him. But I just think it's great to see that left edge intact with Luai, Samuela, Taylor May and Makasini. That is absolutely elite.
Let's speak about the marquee man, Jerome Luai. Gary, he's back in the 6. I'm not going to say there's any pressure on him because he's an elite player. He's won 3 comps in a row and he'll carry himself with an extra swagger. But what changes this week with him coming in for Jock Madden?
I think what it gives us is it gives us that X factor that we haven't had. We've had Adam Dewey, who's played excellent football, but his X factor has been that right foot step and that long ball he's been giving. Jerome Luai, you don't know what he's going to do. So when he goes to the line, the defence really has to be very conscious that if he can play outside, he can play short, he can play long, but if there's nothing there, he'll come off that left foot and come back inside. So for me, he just gives us that little bit of unpredictability that we've kind of lacked the last couple of weeks. And hopefully we see that lead to a huge improvement in our red zone attack.
Just on Jerome, Rob, I know he's on a huge contract here and it was big news at the time, whether it's 1.3 or 1.4 million. And before I actually speak about his football, and I don't know this because I'm not inside the 4 walls of Concord, but I just think looking at how connected this side is this year and how accountable they are for each other, I know we've praised Benji Marshall so much, who deserves that, but I've just got a gut feeling no one's more important than Jerome in that regard because he relies heavily on his senior players.
Yeah, we've certainly got a number of leaders in the club, but he was brought to our club not only for his rugby league, but to build a culture within that group. And it's rubbed off on everyone. We've got so many leaders in that club. Obviously, Appy is a co-captain and leader. We've got Twally, even our wingers, Taruva, like Benji really impressed on Taruva to become a leader in the club. We've got so many leaders. We know how connected they are. But I think one thing, for those that are disappointed that Jock, and I know you'll speak about this later, that Jock has been relegated to the bench, do not forget Jerome Luai's first game this year versus the Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval. It was his best performance for the club. We saw that was on the cards given how he played in the trial against Penrith. So I know he's going to be busting to go. Whether we win or lose is irrelevant. He's our best player. He's our marquee player, and I'm so glad he's back in the team.
The other thing he does bring is we've been probably the most brittle on our left edge, and he coming on that left edge along with Taylor May really shores up that left edge. That's a really strong defensive left edge now, and Jerome's so crucial for that because his talk is elite. So his talk in defence, his ability to organise players around him, and how early he can identify the attacking shape that's coming at him, like before the ball is played, just by where the players are positioning, is absolutely outstanding. And that's, I can't emphasise how important that's going to be this weekend.
It's going to need to be that strong too, Gary, because you've got Katoni Staggs, who, in my opinion, is their strike weapon, given that Reece Walsh is out. So having Katoni Staggs at right centre, and then you've got, obviously, Dean Mariner at right wing, who's an absolute speed machine. You give him 5 yards, no one's catching Dean Mariner. So we really have to be on our toes, and Jerome Luai will set the line speed, along with Samuel Afeinu, and given that connection with Taylor May as well, I think we're in safe hands having all those guys back.
How great is it to have Taylor May back on that left as well? I much prefer him playing on that left-hand side of the field to the right, Rob.
Yeah, I do too, but I felt like the most important positions to plug, Gary, are the two centre positions. So I think the best of the worst options was having Taylor May at right centre. But I think we saw too what a difference it was for Sania Taruva to be back in his normal home on the right wing. He's a class finisher. I think one of those tries maybe some of the other players in the club wouldn't have finished out of those 3 tries that he scored on the weekend. So great to put Taruva back where he was, and what an outstanding job he's done for us over the last few weeks.
I'll get to the Brisbane team in a couple of minutes, but Gary, that matchup, I think Katoni Staggs is a right centre for Brisbane, so he's been on fire this year and is a real powerhouse in the centre. So to have Taylor May back, that's really important.
Yeah, I was really worried about how that left-hand edge would defend him up until seeing Taylor May come back. I think it's absolutely crucial for this weekend that we have Taylor there.
Let's speak about the halves, because you mentioned that North Queensland game, Rob, and they were exceptional, Louis and Dewey and Luai.
Huey, Dewey
Combined
and
the
Louis.
two players there. But that South game was a bit of a mess. I know we only lost 20-16, but we had so much of the ball inside their red zone. What do they have to do better than the last time they combined against South?
I don't think they're going to change too much. They're going to want to play a controlled game, retain possession. That's one of the stats that we're really been leading this year. I think we're at 54% or something in terms of game time, having the ball in your hands. I just think we need to set up that block shape a little bit better. And when we go to the right, I'd like to see Kai Pearce-Paul get some early ball because, as we said on Sunday night on Claws Out, his ability to offload the ball, show the ball in every different direction. He's a big, tall guy, an absolute handful. And even if he runs as a decoy, he's freeing up room for your Herberts and Bullers coming around that side. So I think the block shape versus South Sydney was really poor. And that was, we had a lot of possession late in that first half. Middle of the first half, I should say, against South. And then in the second half, we were camped on South's line for about 10 or 15 minutes, and South end up scoring basically against the run of play. So I'd just like to see us be a little bit more lethal in the red zone. But again, I think with Jerome Luai back, and he'll be chomping at the bit. Don't forget, he's heard all the talk about Jock Madden and Adam Dewey, being so great and having won 3 games in a row together. He'll want to prove a point that, hey guys, I know it's a team game, but I'm the man.
How do they split the kicking duties, Gary? Obviously, Jock Madden did probably 95% of the general play kicking and the goal kicking. Would you expect Adam to do the majority of that in play, or Jerome and him will share it?
I think our long kicking game really has to come from Adam. Luai doesn't have quite as long of a kick as Adam does, so I think our long kicking game especially But once we get in that red zone, Luai's short king game is absolutely lethal, arguably the best in the competition. So I think we'll see Adam doing a lot of the long kicking, probably a fair bit of the high kicking as well. But yeah, I expect in the red zone we'll see.
Eddie, something you might not touch on with the kicking. I'm going to just throw this one out there. I think there's a potential that Appy Coruscant could be doing some goal kicking if Adam's not 100% right. So if they want to try and save Adam for the general kicking, we have got that backup option with Appy Coruscant as a goal kicker.
Okay, Rob, just on the bench, that's going to be an interesting one because you got two halves there on the six-man bench, Jock Madden and Latu Fainu. You'd expect only one of them would get on if there's no injuries. Who will it be?
It'll be Latu Fainu. Unless Adam or Romy get injured, it will 100% be Latu because he can cover a bit of hooker, he can cover the halves, he can cover the ball-playing lock position. You can even play him defensively, particularly in the centres. Jock will only be used if absolutely needed or if we're at a point in the game where we're down by 12 or 18 and Benji wants to play a smaller lineup and take a forward off the field and maybe have Adam roaming a bit wider and coming and going where he wants to, then perhaps you might throw Jock there. But I think it'd be pretty foolish to play both Jock and Latu and then only having two middles against a huge Brisbane forward pack.
Gary, we are at the Sherwood Hotel, Macarthur, live here and on West Tigers Life tomorrow night. I believe we're going to be giving something away. Yeah,
we have a couple of $50 food vouchers for the Sherwood Hotel, Sherwood Macarthur, to give away tomorrow on West Tigers Life. So make sure you're watching that episode tomorrow night as well, because
it'll be for the interactive viewers, won't it, Gary? We'll probably have a quiz or a who am I or something like that, and the first couple of people to get the right answers will get a $50 voucher, and it'll be the best thing you've had. Like, this setup here is so good.
And it get you a free feed while you come out and watch the Ambush event on Saturday afternoon.
You were talking about making a tennis comeback. We've got a nice little tennis set up out the back here. I'm more looking at the tab area over there. That looks more inviting to me.
I really thought Rob was going to miss a couple of questions because his eyes haven't come off that tennis court the whole time we've been here.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, boys. I've got itchy feet. Even as old as I am, I love my tennis. And, I think tennis is a lot cheaper than going to that tap area, Eddie. I think I should get you to join me in the tennis section.
Very true. All right, let's get the Broncos team on the screen. Obviously, they have been ravaged by injury over the past couple of weeks, but they do get a key inclusion. Their halfback, their talisman, Adam Reynolds, in at number 7, partners with Ezra Mann. It's the same 1 to 5 they named last week, but some changes again at hooker. Josh Rogers starts at hooker. They were decimated in that hooking position. And then I won't read all the team out, but Gary, it's fair to say that they're very dangerous. They're defending premiers. You've got to respect them, but not a bad time to play them.
Yeah, if you're going to playing them now when they've got a couple of players out injured, a couple of key players out injured, I don't think we could have got them at a better time. And I think Adam Reynolds, I've got a feeling they've rushed him back a little bit, and he may not quite be ready. So I'll be putting some work towards him this weekend.
I won't go through all their injuries, Rob, but Pat Carrigan suspended, Ben Hunt and Reece Walsh out with fairly long-term injuries. Of those three, who are you most happy that they're missing?
Reece Walsh, 7 days a week. Even if we were going through the comp undefeated, Reece Walsh is the sort of guy that you can't stop when he's on. We saw what he did in the grand final. We saw it, against Penrith in the prelim final last year. They've got a lot of X factor in their team, but he's the X factor of the competition without a doubt. So absolutely glad that he's out of the team.
And his ability to play, once Brisbane gets a fast play ball and gets a roll through the middle, his ability to play off that really deep shape that Brisbane show, that's the sort of play that absolutely historically has torn us apart. So,
and he's unusually strong too, Gary. People know where he is, and you see him there's two guys tackling him, and he'll still burst through. So for a guy that doesn't look too big, he's got amazing strength.
Michael Maguire, Rob, his first game back in West Tigers territory. I know we played Brisbane last year, but that was at Suncorp. They won fairly comfortably. He looks like a guy that might hold a bit of a grudge, so he'll want to put one over Benji, and I'm sure Benji will want to put one over him.
They will both want to put one over each other. I don't think there's any love lost between Madge and Benji, as we know from Benji's last playing year. What was that? Was that 2020 or 2019? Whatever it was.
2020 for us.
2020 for us, yeah. So I remember Benji didn't want to take an award one night at Combank Stadium that they were going to give him a presentation. He was pretty dirty about things. But I love Madge. I think he's a great man. I know his methods are much criticised, but he tried his best for us.
I was going to say, is that why they got so many injuries? Is he overtrained in the pre-season?
You're just too old school.
No, I got to see what Madge was like firsthand in 2019. I got involved in Robbie Farah's milestone game up at Newcastle. He invited everyone, friends, family in the dressing room, and it wasn't fake. He's a genuine guy. He was happy to talk to everyone. You could see how much he cares about people and family. But yeah, he's old school and he's a hard ass and he trains his players hard. But I just find it hilarious that everyone complains about him and they've just won a comp.
It is strange, Gary, because I know he didn't have the most successful time at the West Tigers. I think he spent 3.5 years and the finishing position was progressively getting worse. But since he's left, he's had nothing but success. He took New South Wales to an Origin win. He's won a comp at the first year at the Broncos. So no matter what people think of him, his success rate is
New Zealand against Australia in the World Cup.
It's almost second to none.
You and I have spoken about Michael Maguire a lot. So anyone who hasn't heard it or anyone who has heard it, I apologise because I'll mention it again. My whole thought around Michael Maguire is he's very good with teams that he has help with establishing and developing the roster for. So I think South Sydney, they had a large team around him to help attract players to the club. So I think he's a wonderful coach in that regard. New South Wales, you're walking into a situation where you're picking the best of the best. Similar when he was over working for New Zealand. Brisbane was an already established roster with absolute superstars in it. I think where he got into trouble at the West Tigers is he wasn't able to bring the players he needed to the club.
Correct.
He wasn't able to get the players to the club to play the style of football that he likes to play. Though I must say at Brisbane, he's playing a little bit different sort of style than he has in the past. But I really think that was where the trouble fell at the West Tigers, is just that inability to get the players across that he needed.
Did we sack him too early here? Or was he given enough time?
Look, I don't like the way the whole Maguire thing went down, but let's just keep things to where they are now. It's a complete 180-degree turn for me. I would not swap Benji Marshall for any other coach in the comp right now.
Never thought I'd hear those words.
I never thought I'd say that. I mean,
so no one?
Like not one coach, no. Because I see how much the players love him. I see what he's building. Like the best part about what he's done now, as much as we want to play finals this year, I think we're set for finals in the future. Continuously. I think we've got a good young crop of players coming through that will be there for a while. He's got Jerome and Adam there for the next 3 years. I know the May brothers want to extend, with the Fainus are all connected together. Hopefully they don't leave. I am a little bit concerned about Latu because I wonder how long he'll want to play second fiddle for. Like, he's not getting much time and he's on $500,000 a year.
He was actually quoted on that a couple of weeks ago that he's willing to play anywhere to stay at the club.
I agree, but right now, Gary, he is. Like maybe this year, maybe next year, but then he's going to be thinking, well, you know what? I've been on the back burner for a while now. Like, when's my time going to come? And he might not, but I'm just trying to put myself in his shoes because every time Latu Fainu touches the ball, I get chills. He just has such a class about him. Like anything that Jock Madden can do, Latu Fainu can do and do it better. But
you know what convinces people in those sort of roles to stay at your club? Being a winning football side.
True. With your two brothers as well.
Yeah, and I'm watching what we've seen at the start of this year, and I know there's lots of people out there saying, it's only round 6 and we're only going to round 7. This is a different team, and the changes we've seen aren't short term. These are long term changes to our club that we've seen over the past month, and I'll take that back into the off season as well. Since the end of last season, and there has been some significant changes at our club, and I don't think they're short term.
Gary, can I just ask you one question on that?
No.
So with Latu Fainu, he's probably getting anything between 10 and 20 minutes, but on the lower end of that, can a club, given the salary cap the way it is these days, pay someone $500,000 on his next contract if he's only playing 10 to 20 minutes a game? Like, you've got to be realistic about it from our point of view. We might lowball him because how can we pay someone $500,000 for someone that's playing 10 or 20 minutes?
So my opinion on that is he's the long-term half. So if he's the long-term half, he's not playing 20 minutes a game.
Well, he's not going to play half for 3 years if Adam and Romy do what they're doing.
Let's have a look at the history between the two clubs before the boys come to blows here at the Sherwood. Rob, it's been Happy hunting ground for Brisbane. They've won 8 out of 9, and the one they didn't win was that inaugural draw in 2000, the West Tigers' first game.
Really?
I'm sure we've got nightmares of the 2002 baby Broncos. So I know, don't give me the Benji cliche that it's a new team, new blah, 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 blah.
Okay,
That is a good record.
I'll have to think of something else then, because that's the reality, Eddie. It is a new team. It is a new year. And I think it's just like anything. Statistics don't matter. And I'm talking about any sport, whether you play golf or tennis or whatever. Like, it's everything. The most important thing in life is what you do next. And all that matters for the West Tigers this week is playing the Brisbane Broncos and trying to beat them. Don't worry about Canberra. Don't worry about Cronulla. Don't worry about anyone else we've got to play in the future. We just have to focus on Brisbane. Even though they're missing a lot of players, if you go through that team, at least from 1 to 13, you could probably say that Brisbane you'd pick 7 Brisbane players and 6 West Tigers players. So they're still a very strong team. But I just think the boys are going to be focused. And if I can be a little bit cocky, I felt our boys... There wasn't an intensity on Sunday like I saw against Parramatta. It was almost borderline training run. I think the boys are saving themselves for this week, and I think Brisbane are in for a big shock.
And that sort of training run, as you call it, or that saving themselves, is actually really crucial. We're in the middle of a very tough run of close together football games at the moment. We played on Easter Monday. Backed it up 6 days later on Sunday. We're backing up 6 days later again on Saturday. And then we're playing again on Thursday night. So that month of football was really condensed. And I'm sure the training loads over this period of time are a lot lighter at work. But that's something we need to be very aware of over the next 2 weeks.
What do you made of their start of the season, Rob? It's been mixed at best. They've had some turbulence, though, a lot of injuries. They lost their first 2 games, including a bit of a shock loss to Parramatta. They then strung 3 wins together, including beating Melbourne away, and went down narrowly to the Cowboys last week.
Yeah, I don't see Brisbane as being the same team as they were that won the premiership. They did lose their first 2 games. I mean, Penrith, we've seen all year have been elite. They lost that first round. Losing to Parramatta the way they did, especially when they had quite a reasonable first half lead, and some of the soft tries they scored that day, particularly to Tuolangi, scored a couple of tries. But I think the turning point for them was the Melbourne game in Melbourne. They were down, what was it, Eddie, roughly 12-0 or something?
14-0 half-time.
14-0 half-time, came back, and they were really buoyed by that, and they've had a pretty poor record against Melbourne in Melbourne, and then they carried that through with another couple of wins. I tipped the Cowboys to beat the Broncos the other night. I just thought they're just missing too many players, and I thought the Cowboys could get them up there, but they're not going to be easy. They're bigger, stronger, faster than what we played on the weekend against Newcastle. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I just think our boys know what the challenge is this week, and they're going to be ready for it.
Gary, Coach Adel last Tuesday, he basically predicted the whole game. He said we'd go after Marzu and DeCourcy. We scored about 3 or 4 tries through there. He said Appy would have a blind and that we win by 20. Unfortunately, we don't have Coach on, but he did send through a few notes.
I'm glad you're not asking me to predict the whole game. I'm not.
Well, I'm about to.
I'm not in that class.
He did say we've got to stick to our systems and principles. Remember, we're playing the defending premiers. They're not a depleted team. And keep the ball in play and complete high.
Look, the key part for me in that there's a message there about complacency, and that message about we're playing the premiers, I think that's really crucial this week going into this game. I spoke on Sunday night and said that I didn't mind the poor end to the game because it gives Benji a target, it's something to focus on to keep that intensity high. I think that's crucial going into this game. I don't want the boys looking at this as Brisbane's missing 6, 7 players, we're going to do this easy. It's really important that those standards stay high and those non-negotiables stay really high going into this game on Saturday.
What would be on your tip sheet for the Broncos, Rob? Where would you be game planning?
I think their left edge has been quite poor at times. So, again, I'd probably go at their left edge. It's funny, like some of their strengths are also their weaknesses too. Like I mentioned the left edge. Katoni Staggs, as I said, is an absolute attacking weapon, but defensively he can be quite shocking as well. So, high balls to Karapani, I think that wouldn't hurt. But Shibasaki, he was playing so well last year. His defence has gone so sour. I actually think he got, I don't know if it was dropped or injured, but he was missing for a game or so there at left centre. So you can target them and you can beat them. The thing with Brisbane, though, they've got that ability in them, Eddie, that they can score long-range tries. And if they do make a break, they'll have someone like Mam backing up on the inside, or Jesse Arthur's coming in from fullback. And as I mentioned earlier, Dean Mariner on the wing. They've got class and talent and speed to burn. We've got to beat them in the forwards, and that's not easy. They've got big fellas like Payne Haas and Xavier Willison. They're not as depleted as it looks. We have heard whispers that potentially Ricky's out, so hopefully that does come to fruition. But look, we're just going to play it one set at a time. One tackle at a time, one set at a time. Stay in the moment, play for 80 minutes. Hopefully get the win.
So we've been raving all year about how well our middle forwards are going. Terrell May, Alex Paul playing in the middle, and how Hunt's been coming off the bench. I haven't seen our middles play this style of football in a long time. This weekend they come up against the best front rower in the game in Payne Haas, and I think this is a chance for those guys, for our guys, to really measure where they are in terms of the rest of the competition. So I expect a big game from our middles this weekend. I think they're going to be going after it. And I think a couple of them, Terrell May especially, have a little bit of a point to prove.
Do you go after someone like Payne Haas, Rob? He'll have to carry a lot of the load without his buddy there in Carrigan.
Normally I'd say no, but this week I'd say yes, because he's actually been carrying a shoulder injury for a few weeks and his minutes have been reduced. So it would be nice to get to a point in a game where we've mentally defeated them and they might say, you know what, this isn't going our way, we'll give him a rest and take him off. But I also think we should target their hooker as well, Rogers, because he's basically a halfback and he's playing a hooker. So, target some of our forwards running back towards him, make him do some work. I don't think Adam Reynolds is going to be capable of doing too much, in terms of running. I do worry about his attacking kicks. Brisbane have a really good ploy where they set up that block shape and you think it's going out the back and you'll just put a kick through for one of his back rowers or outside centres. So I'm worried about his kicking game. But, yeah, I'd almost invite Adam Reynolds to run because I reckon he couldn't run 50 metres in a row at the moment.
I don't think he'd be running. We should pass him an intercept and get his hammy torn.
Yeah, exactly right.
Looking for someone to tackle him. But on that halves pairing, Gary, it's Ezra Mann. He's been sort of rocks and diamonds this year, but his best is very, very good.
Well, outstanding. He's another guy who's a very electric player, and if he's given a little bit of space, he can really hurt you. So I think that's crucial for our halves this weekend and our outside backs and edge second rowers, is they really keep an eye on him, because if he gets a whiff of space, he's gone, and he can turn a game. You saw it in that grand final a couple of years ago. He can turn a game in a number of minutes.
Anything, Rob, you'd like to see better from our outside backs? We mentioned that matchup of Taylor May up against Brisbane Centre. His name escapes me. Katoni Staggs. Matt Cassini and the like, they've been a little bit hot and cold. They've had their moments this year, but is there something as a collective they'll have to do well against Brisbane?
I think this is a game that's a grind. I don't think it's a game that needs to be pretty. I think we've got to keep it in the forwards, as I said earlier, and just take our opportunities, target that left edge, particularly on, Shibasaki and giving a lot of early ball to Kai Pearce-Paul, and just have a good, steady kicking game. I don't feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game. If it is a high-scoring game, I think we're in trouble. I don't think Brisbane are going to leak 36 points or anything like that. So I feel like it's a sort of game where, I'd be very happy to win 19-18, but I don't think anyone will actually get to 20 points this week. I'm going to the opposite of what you said to me, Eddie, because I know you've told me 2/3 of the games this year have been overs for anyone that...
More than 2/3 if you're betting on it.
More than 2/3 of the game go on overs. I don't know what the line is. I don't look at that sort of stuff too much this time of the week, but I would dare say I think unders is a pretty... a special thing and going to be on the cards this week.
Did you predict 1918 because that's your birth year?
1918? What was that, sorry?
That was your birth year, apparently.
That was my birth year.
108 years old.
Yeah, well, that was the year World War I ended, but that's all right. World War I started in...
That was the last time we made the finals, wasn't it?
1914 when Canberra beat the Balmain Tigers.
Gary, some of their outside backs, Jesse Arthur, doesn't exactly strike the same fear as Reece Walsh, but there's still some pace on the flanks there in Karapani and Mariner.
As I said earlier, if the Brisbane middles get a chance to get on the front foot, they run wild out wide. And I don't think Reece Walsh being missing changes that a lot. They've still got Ezra Man there. They've still got plenty of pace on the edge. So we need to win that middle to contain that. So big game for our middles this weekend.
All right, Rob, I think you gave your prediction there. A low-scoring West Tigers win.
I think it'll be a 19-18 sort of game, but I'll take 19-6 our way.
Yeah, 2018. It'll be close.
All right, well, we've got a new segment before we log off for the night. It's Rob's Roast. I've been trying to fire up Rob, and I believe he's saving one for tomorrow night for West Tigers Life. But talk to me about how Appy Coruscant did not get a Dally M vote out of that split on Sunday, and who voted for it?
Okay, well, the voting is anonymous. Like the judges, I should say, the names are kept anonymous, so we don't know who that was. The good news was all the points given for the Dally M's were West Tigers players. I'm not going to say any of them weren't deserving of it. There was certainly plenty there that everyone that was on that list played a great game. How Appy Coruscant and Terrell May were not given points of the Dally M was absolutely outrageous. I think there was a segment on the Channel 7 Rugby League show, that new show that names escapes me, with David.
Agenda Setters.
Agenda Setters. They were talking about some of the other games where they were talking about the Dally M points, but I think it's an absolute farce, and I think the names of the judges should be made accountable. I know these sort of things are subjective, guys, but when two of your best three players, I think we can all say Alex Toll was magnificent as well, when two of them don't even make the top 5 or 6 or however many players they gave points to in the Dally M's, I don't think you can take that award anymore seriously. I just treat it with a grain of salt.
Just looking up who got the Dally M points for the viewers out there. Adam Dewey got 3, Jock Madden 3, Taruva 2, Twal 2, Buller 2. Mentioned no Coruscant somehow in that vote, but no Terrell May. He had a stormer, Gary.
Yeah, Terrell May was outstanding. It was his best game of the year. 200 plus metres. I don't know.
224.
I don't know what more he needs to do. But the one that it does concern me, and it's the Appy Coruscant, and I don't understand the disrespect he actually gets from the rest of the rugby league community. And I don't mean they're rude to him, but he's not in the Origin conversation last year, and he's not in it really at this stage. He misses out in a game that he was simply outstanding. In my opinion, the best player by far on the field. He scored tries, so it wasn't just that it was... sometimes people watch a game and they don't see the hard work that's done by someone, but there was flash in his game, there was good runs in his game, there was tries in his game. Defensively, he was outstanding on the weekend, and just his guile around the ruck... we don't win that game without Appy Coruscant.
He was the conductor to our orchestra. That's what he was on Sunday.
Why is there such a disrespect towards him, Rob? Why is he missing out on these sort of acknowledgements? And this is only one game, but he misses out on this sort of stuff all the time.
I don't agree with it, Gary, but I think once they put a line through your name, I don't think you come back. Now, can I be selfish for a minute? As much as I think Appy deserves to play Origin, we're going to be finding it hard-pressed to win a game if he's not in our starting team. So
the problem with that, though, Rob, is it just furthers...
It's not fair. I know that. It's not fair.
It's not just not fair for him. It furthers the narrative that you come to the West Tigers and it kills your representative career.
Well, I should just point out to you, we're celebrating the 21st year of our 2005 premiership. And in that year, we didn't have anyone in Origin, and we got some teams like St George and what have you in the middle of Origin. So again, I'm being selfish. You, me, everyone, we've been deprived of finals football for 15 years. So boys, Laurie Daly, you're the worst representative coach in the history of rugby league. It's not even close.
How does he get a second go?
He got it. I don't even know how he got a second go, but anyone that follows his tips just back the opposite. I think that's why he's probably employed by the Tab, or was employed by the Tab, because
bad advice.
He's just giving bad advice, and punters are losing their money. So please, don't pick any of our players, and just leave us at the top of the table, where I'd like to think we're going to be most of the year.
So maybe that warning needs to be gamble responsibly and don't listen to Laurie Daly.
But don't listen to us either. We're not real good with our tips occasionally too.
Rob, 2026 expectations. A little big picture look, because I did have a look at while we're on the subject of gambling, $1.55 to make the 8 West Tigers. Last time we were that, I can't remember. Last time we were $1.50 to beat Brisbane, I can't remember. But I was listening to, it might have been Cooper Cronk or someone. We were 5-4 last year after 9 rounds. So we're in the top 8 last year after 9 rounds. But the way we're playing this year, a lot of our habits that media guys are talking about, kick chase, about line speed, about contact, about winning that first metre. It seems a much more repeatable way to win, rather than last year. A lot of those wins against Cronulla and St George were like desperation, scrambling.
The players are playing, they believe in the systems that the coaching staff have created in the off-season. They know how fit they are so they can accomplish the goals that the coaches are setting. I think it's a totally different team to last year, just in the way we're playing. We turn that Parramatta game at the beginning of the second half on the back of our defence. We never do that against anyone. Now there's also confidence. So once you win a few games in a row, you start actually getting more self-belief, more confidence. I think we just keep it one game at a time. I'd like to think we're going to play finals. In fact, I'd like to think we're going to play top four. You mentioned our odds to make the 8. I'll make your hair stand up on the back of your neck. We're $2.78 to make the top four, which isn't too bad. So, look, I just think we keep it real. We're going to have some bumps on the road. We don't know, if our players are going to stay healthy or who does get picked at representative time. But, all these people that say, oh, you shouldn't get too excited or jump too early, whatever. We're not jumping too early, but, I think the Penriths and the Melbournes and the Brisbanes of the world, they all want to make the top four. And if you're serious about winning a premiership, you need to be in that top four. Has anyone ever won a premiership in the current system outside the top four? I don't believe they have, but I stand corrected if that has happened. So I just think we keep playing on. And, in 6 weeks from now, if we're still travelling well, then we reevaluate and we say, you know what, we are going to play finals. Then we've got to look at top four and just sort of set our targets on the premiership. And I know it's going to be really hard to do. And Brisbane are elite when they're at full strength, and Penrith are elite, and other teams are going to get better. We saw this time last year. Canterbury were flying. They fell in a hole even though they made the 8, and Penrith were near the bottom of the ladder, and they were, a few minutes away from playing the grand final again. So it is early days, but I just think there's reason to be optimistic. And more importantly, whatever happens this year, we're going to be better next year. So I want everyone to be happy and
enjoy the ride, you're saying.
Yeah, well, everyone's complaining about the articles in the paper and, that's too positive and they're all giving us pats on the back. But you complained when they were giving us negative articles. Like,
true.
You can't win. Like, let them talk us up, and it's up to Benji and the coaching staff to keep it real. And as Gary said earlier, those 12 points that we conceded in the last 6 minutes the other night, that really keeps players and a team grounded, and they know they can be better. And I'm sure we will be better this year. Whether that results in a victory or not is irrelevant. But good things to look forward to, boys. And I just want to see a packed Campbelltown, not only outside here, but in these clubs on Saturday night, and just make it a daunting place for the visiting team to visit.
Rob mentioned a moment ago about that positive start and that good start we've had to the season. Why that's so crucial is we're a rebounding club. We're a club that's coming from a horrible place. Now, the players had a lot of belief instilled in them over that off-season. A lot of the hard work they've done, what this positive start does is it solidifies those standards. It solidifies that confidence that they developed over the off-season, and that is so crucial. If we had to come out and started poorly this year, even as a fan, you start to think, well, we're back where we were anyway. And players get that sense as well. So I think that start we've had that Rob mentioned has been so crucial because it allows us to build off that. And once you get a bit of confidence, anything's possible.
All right, Rob, I'll fire these to you. Some of our opposition to make the 8, just give me a yes or no answer whether they will make the top 8. Newcastle?
No.
Canterbury?
Yes.
Parramatta?
No chance.
Dolphins?
50-50, but I'm going to lean no. They've got to improve defensively.
Raiders?
50-50.
Sharks?
They'll make it. But they're flat track bullies. They're going to be the same as they were last year.
Any disagreement there, Gary?
To be honest, I don't care. We just need to win enough games so we're there. It doesn't matter what other teams do. If we win enough games,
Gary, we want to be top 4. We want to be top 4. We don't want to get there and get smashed first week of the finals. Mate, we want to be there and be a force and be a presence. And all I'd say to our fans, if you want to receive it, you got to believe it. Okay,
I'll
start
consider
believing.
top 4.
Stop being scarred.
I'll consider top 4 in a couple of months when we're still travelling well. Right now, the aim needs to be to solidify the start we've had.
Yep.
A really good couple of weeks. We've got a good opportunity over the next couple of weeks to move, solidify that position on the ladder that we've got now. And we get a month, 2 months down the track and we're still trending well. That's when you start looking for the top 4.
Are they the only teams you're going to mention?
I could go through the whole
No,
17.
I thought you were going to go through the 17. I wasn't sure.
How Perth going to go next year? PNG? Talk about that if you want.
No, we don't want to talk about that. No good.
All right, well, big thank you to Gary and Rob who flanked me today, but also massive thank you to Daniel who helped set up our set here and produce the show from behind the mic, and the Sherwood Hotel, the Sherwood MacArthur. If you're not going to the game on Saturday night, Gary, what time's the ambush function?
5:30. I am right, Arno Kelly. Yes, 5:30 Saturday. I'm bad at times, so but yeah, we'll all be here. Come along, say hello. And it should be a good game. And then head across to the game, and yeah, it's right next door. So
Rob's about to go out and play tennis. I might go play the pokies, give a little bit back to the Sherwood or something.
Just one thing. Gary didn't mention that I was going to be here with them on Saturday night as well, so I'll just mention that. But tomorrow night,
I was hoping you weren't going to be here. Are you coming?
Well, yeah, I'm invited by Steve. Anyway,
Steve.
don't forget tomorrow night, West Tigers live. Shane, Josh, and myself live from the iChoice Studios. We're giving away those 2 vouchers that have been kindly provided by the Sherwood MacArthur. You'll need to be watching that show live to have a chance of winning those, and you're going to see an absolute full-scale rant on Philip Ronald Gould tomorrow night. Don't miss it.
All right, thank you, West Tigers fans. Hope the West Tigers get up on Saturday night at Campbelltown. We'll see you on Sunday night for the close out.
Go the West Tigers.